My parents were not scholars. They were not socialites. They were not bright, optimistic souls with hope for their futures. They were, in fact, kids who grew up too soon with ugly pasts and sad, sad scars, not knowing how to function in a hapless world that moved too fast for their liking. There are pictures, boxes of them. There are albums and folders and envelopes filled to the brim with photographs that captured memories of a time gone by. When I was young, I looked to the few I had for hope. I looked to them to fill the hole I had in my heart with memories I was not yet there to make. There's a lesson to be learned from every marriage and every divorce. A lesson that heeds the rush and warns of the day you'll wake up next to the person you fell in love with and see a stranger. I never knew my mom when I was little. Not really. But there are photos I can learn from now and Facebook status updates I can read. But back then I had nothing. I had no memories aside from her departure. My parents met because they had a mix of the same friends. It was purely a coincidence, in my opinion, that their spatial orbits happened to intertwine one night. At this point in time, my dad lived in a one-bedroom house in Middletown, New York. He worked long hours to keep it. At one point it got so bad that he would come home around midnight, sometimes later. Well, my dad had friends whose work hours didn't match up with his, of course. On an autumn night around 2 a.m, my dad got a call from his friend. Sure enough, my dad is asked to hang out with a group, despite the fact that he just got home 2 hours beforehand. Now, my dad was never one to appreciate being woken up at 2 a.m, especially not to go to an amusement park, but his friends needed him. Really, they needed his car. So off he goes into the night to pick up his friends. It was basically his friend Lori and her brothers, and Lori brought company. What my dad didn't know was that his friend would bring along the love of his life for 18 years or so. My dad has told me that the first time he saw my mom, he knew she was the one. I can't deny it to this day because of the way he looked at me when he said it. His eyes screamed passion lost long ago. I asked my parents about how they met and where it all went wrong sometimes, and I know it hurts for them to dig up the past, but I truly believe I need to know these things in order to learn for my future. My mom said no to marrying my dad 3 times. Actually, that was just on the night they met. He's where I get my persistence from. When they did finally start their lives together, they didn't understand the complications they would face. Mom's parents didn't approve of their daughter dating a black guy who was 7 years older than her. This was the 80s after all. And neither of them had any experience being with anyone but themselves. I think a lot of the things my parents did were done because they thought it had to be done. I think marriage was expected of them. A whole life waiting on a ring to prove that you're not alone in this world. There's never an easy answer for life. My mom told me that when I asked her when she knew she had to leave. My parents tried. They really did. But things start to take a toll on you very quickly when all of a sudden you're thrust into married life with 2 kids and barely a means of getting by. Things were over before they began. And then there was the house. The original 500 square foot home could not sustain a family, so we built upon it. My dad wanted to be the father he never had. I say any father is better than the one he never had, but that's a story for another time. Actually, it's not. My dad grew up separated from all of his siblings, raised by a pathological liar of an aunt who told him he was really his mother. Can I really blame him? He just wanted a place for his kids to be kids, but he ended up ripping his family apart. Every nail, every board placed in the house created a space too big now to be filled with the sounds of laughter and joy. You can't build a house, have 2 kids under the age of 5, spend maximum just $30 a week, and be content under a 1-income household. Just doesn't work. It isn't easy to pack up and leave your life behind after 18 years. I know that, but it would be a lie if I said I didn't ever resent my mom for doing it. No matter how much I know, how well I understand things, or how much I change, I'm still the little 4-year-old that my mom left behind. Still confused, still angry, still hurt. It isn't easy. It isn't easy knowing that your brothers helped your mother through the pregnancy more than your father. It isn't easy knowing that when you were born, your mother was all alone with you in the hospital room for days because your father thought she needed time alone. It isn't easy knowing that your father would have rather gone to jail than pay child support for you if your mother left him. It isn't easy feeling like your mother only wanted to take you with her because her mother thought she had to, not because she wanted to. It isn't easy being an accident. It isn't easy not knowing where your next meal is coming from. It isn't easy watching your mother leave and not understanding why no one was chasing after her like in the movies. It isn't easy watching all the mothers on Mother's Day in school be there for and love their kids and waiting for your mother to miraculously show up just to be let down every single year. It isn't easy knowing that your mother left, not because she had to, but because she chose someone else over you. It isn't easy, but we still get up every single day and go through it. It will never get easier, but with time it becomes less foreign and it becomes a feeling you get used to, because you've never known anything else in the world. I'm 16 years old now. My mom has officially missed 3/4 of my life. I'm used to it. Not seeing her for years at a time is something that I'm used to. Knowing that there's 3,000 miles of distance between us is something that I'm used to. I'm the product of 2 kids who didn't know what they were doing. I'm the product of growing up with no mother, a father who worked 2 hours away, and brothers who are over a decade older than I. I'm the product of flinching when someone raises their hand or voice, even if it's not to hurt me. I'm the product of low self-esteem and anger issues and problem after problem, conflict after conflict, all with no solution in sight. There was once a space between my parents, a universe that brought them together and ultimately tore them apart. My parents tried. They really did, but sometimes trying isn't enough. What can I say? My parents were not scholars.